Well, guys, it's finally here. We've been playing for so long, it feels like, because I've been having a good time, but yet a frustrating time at moments. I'm talking about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It is here. Cal is back once again. And guys, I'm not even gonna start this one off because I got a lot to talk about. But I'm gonna pass it over to Corey first. Corey, whereabouts are you? How you feeling? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? Did it crash? What's your thoughts?
Well, you know what? I think I might be an outlier here. I've had very little issues with this game so far. You know, I'm probably, I would say, roughly about 3/4 of the way through this one, and I've had quite a few hours in this. I'd say about 30 up to this point now. I've dumped a pile in, so it's easy to do in this game. There's a ton to do. It's not as linear as the first game. I find there's a lot more kind of side quests. There's a lot of things you can kind of go off and do instead of just staying on that main path, which is really cool. It adds a lot more to the game because I found the last game, once you were done it, you were kind of just done with it unless you wanted to go play on a higher difficulty. That's really all that it offered you. This, there's a little bit more here, a little more substance, and you notice that right away. They make it very prevalent. The fact that you're back as Cal, 5 years after the last one, it kind of gives you this setting that, we have been through a lot in these last 5 years, and he has changed a lot as a Jedi, but it's really cool to kind of get back into his shoes and, start this adventure all over again. Meet up with some old crew, some old friends, and this whole experience for me has been good. I've heard a lot of the noise about this game outside of, my experience. You guys have had your own separate experiences. We all played on Xbox, and honestly, I just had so much fun with this game. Even some of the smaller issues I did run into, they weren't that bad. So I'm interested to know, from what I got a little bit from what you guys are saying, but Scott, what was your experience jumping into this one, man?
Well, so far, so good. I haven't had any sort of major glitches. I haven't had any sort of really big hold-up. There was something we talked about very early on, Drew and I, where I just kind of died for no reason, where I was supposed to hit the ground and continue into a cutscene, but that was just one little issue. Getting hung up on a bridge was another thing, but it didn't break the game ever. I was able to roll out of it, or respawn in that one case. So it didn't really bother me. It is worth saying we are on a Series X. I've heard a lot of problems more so on the PC side, and PlayStation seems to be handling it just fine. So it's hopefully going to be good for everybody very soon. I know there is a lot of updates coming down the line because everybody wants to get in on Star Wars, and for good reason. This game is an incredible follow-up to the first, and setting Cal's story up to just get darker, deeper, and push further on is an amazing edge to, really an excuse to explore the galaxy. And that's where I found myself really getting caught up. Kobo, the Jeddah, it doesn't matter what the planets are necessarily to me. We start out on Camino, Coruscant, the big cities, all these different locations that I've seen in movies, but just getting into it, it's fun to run around in the same way that the Battlefront games have kind of let you do in the Star Wars universe before. This is, of course, a different genre entirely. We're getting into ARPGs, but it's not Dark Souls. People say a Souls-like, and I understand that because the respawn system, the whole idea of when you die with your stuff unless you can go reclaim it. So I understand that connection there, but it doesn't necessarily have that difficulty behind it, at least at the start. Then again, as you get through the game further and further, it opens up with a lot of different stances. So you can customize exactly what kind of a Jedi you want Cal to be, and that was, again, something that really made it fun. I have to readdress how I want to play this character each time a new stance unlocks. But they also have a reroll system, so you can get away with doing that, changing up your mind halfway through. And that's important.
You only get the reroll once for free. After that, it costs you, right? So as your experience grows, you get more points to then invest in your character, in Cal, in what stances you want to go with, what force powers and abilities. And I kind of took Scott's advice, and I honed in on a stance, and I honed in on a force power. And I was a force to be reckoned with by the time I was wrapping this thing up. It was fantastic, right? You get that sense of power from Cal. And I wish I'd love to do a spoiler cast because there's so much more to talk about without kind of revealing right now, right? Obviously, this is spoiler free, but it's one of those experiences. This is the best Star Wars game I've ever played. Having said that, man, are there issues because holy graphical pop in. I go into the Mantis, graphical pop in there. I sit on the bench in a cutscene, graphical pop in there. I kill a monster, it falls through one of the walls. I'm like, what's going on? After that, I get hard crash right back to the Xbox screen. I get locked up in the middle of a cutscene. Like frozen.
Oh,
so now I have to quit, jump back in, and then I get booted back out again. I get near the end of the game. I wrap this up in 36 hours and jump right back in, okay? So yeah, I'm frustrated by all these glitches, graphical issues, crashes, but it was so much fun. And the story of where Cal came off of with Fallen Order into Jedi Survivor, and then to progress through this story, meet new returning characters, where all this leads to, and then the end. And there's one moment, and this is one of the moments I cannot wait to talk about with everybody else, but my jaw hit the ground. It was one of the best experiences I've ever played in any game. At the end of the day, this should be a 10, and I'm telling you right now, it is not, because of it's so broken for me. Corey, how you managed not to get hard crashed or experience half the glitches. I mean, yo, you want to trade Xboxes? Because I had a heck of a time, man. I was so disappointed because at the end of the day, this is a 10. But I can't put it at 10 because of all the experiences and the problems that I had. But when you get into the world and you look how beautiful it is, how massive the scenery becomes, the opportunities for the puzzles, the level design is unfathomable. How they were able to do this when you actually go to places and then return afterwards to go to other places, and the verticality within each of these levels, you know, like fantastic. And hats off to Respawn. If they would just clean up some of these issues that I experienced, even after having a 24 gig update and still hard crashing twice at the end of my experience, it just breaks it for me. And I'm heartbroken. Because like I said, this is a 10, but it's not.
All right, guys, we've had a good time playing Jedi Survivor. All glitches and everything aside, this is an amazing game with an amazing story, an amazing cast, and we've had a really good time. If I've got to score this, guys, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I was saying to you guys, I don't know what a 10 out of 10 looks like. This game is so close to getting a 10 out of 10. There's just a few things holding it back, but a 9 out of 10 I think is a pretty solid score for this one, and I'm looking forward to hopefully a third in the series here. What are you giving this one, Scott, out of 10?
Oh, I agree with you. I really want a third in this series because, like yourself, this really is just almost a 10 out of 10. The bugs and the glitches is one thing, and that takes it a bit down, but my only gameplay complaint other than that is just somewhat a lack of direction. Sometimes I had a really hard time finding who to talk to, for example, to move on, but other than some slight frustrations, this game reinvigorated a love for Star Wars again that the movies could never accomplish, and I'm there with a 9. I agree with you, Corey.
I'm right there with all you guys. This should have been a 10, but with the amount of bugs, glitches, like even I had one sweater going like this while I'm in the middle of the game. I'm like, what is going on here? And there's so many other crashes. It took me from a 10 down to a 9. If that would have been perfected without all these glitches and hiccups, it would have been there at the top for me in my game of the year. But I'm kind of struggling right now if this is that game of the year experience. I think it is. It's like really close. But at the end of the day, I gotta be in there with a 9 just because there's still so many problems.